Hey everyone. So here I have my 6.5 by 14 Ludwig Supraphonic snare drum. This is a late 70s, early 80s. It's got the rounded corner blue and olive badge. Uh, the serial numbers from this era are really not consistent. But from what I gather, this drum is probably from 1979, which to me is cool because that's my birth year. So it's kind of cool to have a drum from that period. I really wish these later 70s drums had date stamps, but they do not. So, but it's a great drum. It's got the original tone control, which I definitely use. And then it's got the original P85 throw off as well. I know a lot of people hate these throw-offs. They definitely get a bad rap, but if you have one that's in good shape, it really truly is a great throw-off. You know, I much prefer the predecessor, the P83, but if you have a nice functioning P85, it really is a great throw-off. So that's staying on there. But I haven't had this drum in my possession for a while. A friend was borrowing it for some recording for quite some time. He kindly gave me money to replace the heads on it. They were already kind of worn, at least the batter head was. But he's a much heavier hitter than I am, so it was definitely time for a head change, and I decided to switch out both the batter and the snare side. I'm also putting some new wires on as well. I was going to do the 42 strand bottom thing, but man, I was looking at 42 strand wires, and the Canopus ones are like almost $80, which is just kind of crazy. I really love Canopus wires. That's kind of what I have on most of my drums. I think I have one Ludwig snare where I have the original wires on. And so I'm just gonna do the 20 strand Canopus vintage wires on here. I love those. Like I said, I have those on a lot of my drums, and they sound so good. I mean, it's like, to me, night and day between those and like Pure Sound and any other brands. So that's what's gonna go on here. But yeah, I'm gonna get these heads off. I'll start getting the new batter head on, just to where it's sitting on the drum, and then we'll go from like, getting it, finger tight into, all the tuning and stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so we'll start by just going finger tight around each tension rod, each lug. I typically like to do 2 at a time, starting one across from the other. Okay, so we're finger tight all the way around. Just like to double check it, make sure none of them loosened up. All right, so we're going to start at this lug to here, here to here, here to here, here to here, here to here. That's how I do it. Other people may do it differently. It's how I've done it for years. I feel like I've gotten good results that way. So I like to start with a full turn. And while I'm turning the tension rod on one side, I lightly press down on the hoop on the opposite end so that the hoop doesn't, come up. You want it to be engaged with the bearing edge. So now we're going to go here, but before I do that, I want to just go back and make sure they're still finger tight, because they can loosen up obviously as you're tensioning the other lugs. So again, full turn, and then go back and see these came loose. So go back, full turn, another full turn, and you go back, turn, and then the last one. Okay. So that's a full turn all the way around. So we're going to go back again and do a half turn. I also like to over tension to start, just to get the head stretched out. You hear that glue there. That's what that is. I'm sure you've all heard that great sound before. So that's where we are right now. Very timbali-like, obviously, since the bottom head is off. But let's go around to each tension rod, each lug, and check kind of where we're at. Whoa, that's way down there. So then I come up. And I'm just going clockwise here. I just do this by ear. I don't use tune bots. I don't use drum dials. Ain't got time for that stuff. It's pretty good. All right, so we're just gonna start there. Yeah. All right, so now we're getting the snare side on. It's just a standard ambassador snare side of the non-hazy variety. Do they still make hazy? I feel like all I see are these clear ones now. Not sure. All right, so let's get the bottom loop on. Okay, so the tension rods are all lined up into the lugs. Go around again. 9 times out of 10, when somebody is having trouble getting their snare drum to sound good, I usually find that it's because they have kind of neglected the snare side head, and it's usually too loose and just, you know, too loose, and it gives it that sort of flappy, you know, non-responsive sound that you definitely don't want out of a snare drum. The snare side head has to be tensioned quite tight in order to get the snares to respond the way they should. So again, we're starting the same spot, same order. Go around one more time, make sure everything's as tight as it can be. Again, hand here, pressing down just a little bit, and then full turn. Come across to the opposite side, full turn over to here. Here. And again, you'll start to hear that glue cracking again just a little bit. Okay. So now we go back to the starting point. I guess this would be, yeah, it's not a full turn. It's like, you know, 3/4 of a turn. You want that bottom head to be tight enough to allow the snare wires to do what they need to do. Okay, so that's where we are right now. Pretty easy so far. Like I said, once I get the snares on here and played a little bit, I will have to do some adjustments to probably both the top and the bottom, but this is a good starting point. So now we're gonna get the wires on. All right, so snare wires. I use snare cord. I just prefer it. Okay, so we got those on. Nice and crisp. Okay, so that's where that's at now, and now I'm gonna take it down to the kit and just throw an overhead mic up. There's not gonna be any, you know, processing, you know, compression, any kind of EQ. It'll just be just a raw, natural sound. So let's go check it out. Okay, so we're now down here at the kit. So let's check the top and bottom again, kind of see where the pitches are at. This is the snare side head. And then the batter head. The internal tone control I have just barely touching the batter side head. That's what I always do. So far, I really wouldn't change anything. Batter head down just slightly. I mean, I'm not necessarily going for the bottom thing here, just because I love that sound. I don't have 42 strand wires on here. I feel like that's such a big part of it. But still, it's in that territory, obviously.